All right, welcome to the channel, and today I'm actually out taking photos, walking around Lake Washington out on Mercer Island, and I was just kind of on a whim, was like, you know what, let's have a discussion about preferences, and specifically in mostly hobbies and in general, right? And preferences also can be a bias or what have you, and preferences and biases, I think, kind of go hand in hand to some degree, because they're both things that you've learned as a person, like what your preferences are. They're all unique, they're individual to that person. And same thing with biases. And biases and preferences can both be a positive and a negative. Biases especially can be very negative. You can have very strong negative biases. But at the same time, biases are just something that you have a learned behavior based on something that's happened in your life or what have you. And that kind of ties into audio, in my opinion, as well as almost every single hobby or anything you do. Preferences, your preferences as an individual, play heavily into literally everything you do. How you react to things, how you enjoy things, how you whether or not you want something or would like something aesthetically, audibly. Flavors even goes into food, and it's all how all your experiences of life lead up to who you are now in that moment, and those all play into how much you will or will not like something. And that kind of plays into the whole like subjective versus objective play in the audio world, and this once again goes for all hobbies and all things you do. But and it's kind of funny that people will have a preference or a bias towards something and then treat that like an objective thing. Like this is the way it is. And it's kind of a tough thing to get around. And that's why a lot of things in the audio world, especially, that seems to be, mostly because I'm in that world a little bit more than some of my other hobbies currently. But it does seem that those preferences and biases play more heavily into people's critique of things than the actual objective thing. So it's, even if they're trying to be objective, there's a very large subjective part to it that they're not accounting for or not wearing on their sleeve, right? They're not putting it out there as a thing that's viable. And so the reason why I don't like calling my stuff that I do reviews is because I feel like I'm very much aware of my own biases and preferences, and I like to wear those on my sleeve. Like, in fact, I think I'm even wearing my ZMF hoodie right now. So, and that's something that I learned over time in the hobby over the years, is that my preferences have been towards ZMF. Like, ZMF has been, like, for whatever reason, I found them as a headphone creator, and they just aligned very well, if not on par, with my preferences and my biases towards how I want to listen, how I want my gear to look, and the feel, all of that. And then you throw in how nice and awesome Zach and Bevan are, and those preferences and bias will start to really stack up. And I try to wear that on my sleeve as much as possible whenever I do things like that. And that goes in hand to hand with, like, even Cost Porta Pros to, sorry for the noise if this is really loud, there's a big jet plane going over. But when I talk about my opinions and my preference, I also try to take into account the fact that just because I don't like something doesn't mean somebody else was going to love it, or just because I love something doesn't mean someone's not going to hate it on down the road as well, or that kind of tit for tat type of deal. And then you throw in the fact that, like, majority of the stuff that's out there right now is good. Like, there's not much that's actually legitimately a bad sounding thing. It just might not align with a lot of people's preferences. So it's kind of hard to push and pull on those kind of things and realm and try to give a fair shake of something, right? So, for instance, the FT3 video, that headphone is great. It's a great sounding headphone. It just doesn't align with my preferences or how I want to listen to music, or, and it could have been also a factor of, at that point in time, maybe my mood wasn't into it, right? Like, I just wasn't into that kind of sound signature. And that will play into it. And that's why some headphones can sit on your shelf for a long time, because you really like it for a specific mood or a specific type of genre of music or a specific time and place kind of thing. Whereas I've found that most of my ZMFs, I can just listen to everything and be happy. And so that's that kind of you have to kind of find that in your audio system and or in your preferences, and hopefully find that headphone maker or that specific headphone that fits that for you. And same thing with the amps and DACs and all that fun stuff. And that's kind of what I wanted to kind of touch on today. Just a real quick, taking a break from photography, and thought I'd kind of talk about that. So yeah, that's kind of it for now, and maybe we'll touch on it again some more later. But basically, preferences and Raven just flew over my head. Preferences and biases play heavily, and subjectivity plays heavily into everything that you do as an individual. And so for me to think that my opinion is more important or more valid than somebody else's, I don't really feel that way. I feel like maybe I have more experience or more wisdom in the space because I've been able to experience more things potentially, but that doesn't mean that my opinion is better than someone that's been, maybe had a couple other different experiences than my own. And that's the thing, right? Experience is key to everything. So when I say, try to get your ears on these things or listen to these things yourselves, that's very important. I think that's at the end all be all. Your ears are what's going to be the thing that matters the most in your preferences, or what you decide you like the most. And then going into why would you want to, if you don't have access to a lot of gear, you don't have a chance to demo a lot of stuff, or you can't get out to a can jam or a meetup or what have you, or there's not much around your area, that's when I would say try to find people that have similar preferences to yourself, knowing that they might not always align. Like, just try to get as close as you can, because then that would help you kind of get a better understanding of what they're hearing. If you, align with how they listen to music, their aesthetic preferences, do they like, what kind of genre of music, what kind of, do they focus mostly on the mids, the highs, the lows, do they like stage, do they like imaging, do they like detail the most, do they want to relax, they want to lean back sound signature, do they like a lean forward signature, and what does that mean to them, kind of thing. And that's kind of its own research in itself, is finding creators and or people that you can align with and or at least to some degree to better give you an understanding of what they're listening to help you make a better decision potentially on what you want to listen to. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this weird random trying something different. Thought I'd take a break and try a little, I guess, vlog, or I don't know what the heck this is. Bugs. But anyways, thanks for checking it out, and I will catch everyone on the next one. I think coming up next is the 109 Pro from Mez, and that was sent out by them. So I'll hopefully get that video worked on and out here in the next couple days, if not this week, then next week. So, all right, cheers everyone, and have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one. Yeah, cheers.